Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Operations Committee meeting of September 16th. First up with the land acknowledgement. As we gather today, I would respectfully acknowledge on behalf of Council and Committee that the City of Pembroke resides on the unceded traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We thank the generation of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. It's with this statement that we honor and respect the Algonquins on whose land we reside. Call to order. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Motions for the improvement or meeting amendment of the meeting agenda, His Worship?
So, Mr. Chair, I don't know where you want to deal with this one before we entertain the approval of the agenda. When we get to, we can either do it now or do it then, but 7A and 7B, I would be making a motion to table those two as that topic is then on a council with a motion to reconsider. So I appreciate the reports. I've read the reports. I'm sure we all have. So I don't know where, Mr. Chair, you want to deal with those two.
Okay, well, we will certainly entertain the motion to table because I think we've all read the reports. Councillor Keel would second the motion to table the two reports, A and B. So we would vote on the motion to table. Those in favor of tabling A, B? Okay, it's approved. So note that in the meeting agenda that both A and B are tabled until the matter is discussed at council. So then I guess I need a new motion to approve the meeting agenda then as amended. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Keel, those in favor? Approved. Approval of minutes. I don't see any minutes here, so we'll skip on that one. Any business arising? There wouldn't be anything because there's no minutes. So first up is new business. So as we have A and B both tabled, there will be item C with the first item to discuss. So being presented by the clerk or being presented by?
Yeah, I can just.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. So today I'm presenting a report that's entitled the Upper Ottawa Valley OPP Community Engagement Plan. So as outlined in the report, the OPP, Upper Ottawa Valley Detachment, is undertaking a community engagement plan. So what that involves is eliciting information from the community based on various sections of public safety and questions under those headings therein through an online survey and to ascertain how the public feels on each of those headings and then to help inform the OPP in ultimately creating their action plan. So this was brought forward to the PSB in a special meeting in late August, and through discussion the PSB generally supported the strategy in its entirety, and it's laid out in the report here. It's a public consultation strategy, stakeholder and engagement, and clarification and logistics as outlined in the report. And then the next steps will be that the plan is meant to reflect a comprehensive approach to addressing local law enforcement challenges, and the survey-led insights will help the OPP in consultation with their statistics that they collect on a quarterly basis and present at the PSB meetings to help address various issues that are important to community members within our detachment area. And as outlined in the recommendation and presented at the PSB by our OPP inspector, the plan engages to set the following priorities: public safety and crime prevention, community engagement and partnerships, support for vulnerable populations, traffic and road safety, and emergency response and preparedness. And I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Councillor Keel?
I think I'm struggling with this one. So we're calling public safety and crime prevention, community engagement and partnerships, support for vulnerable populations, traffic and road safety, emergency response and preparedness priorities, as opposed to about as basic an expectation that I would have for a police service. How are these priorities as opposed to like emergency response and preparedness? I would hope that's a priority for every police services, but I don't see why I need to like, does this council really need to recommend to the OPP that responding to an emergency is a priority?
Essentially, they're looking for these large headings to serve as general headings so they can have subsequent questions underneath to get the public opinion on matters that lie within those. So it's like big buckets, so to speak. There will be drilled down questions underneath on the survey that the public can then, rate various priorities underneath those big buckets. It's essentially just to get public feedback on these priorities as they're outlined so they can help inform their officers and their statistics from a community perspective.
But I guess what I'm saying is these are so broad, we might as well just have said, what are your priorities under a police service? Like, I don't understand. My understanding is this went to a special police services board meeting that took time. It's now coming to us to read to take time. And I get what you're saying, these are broad headings. Well, exactly, but why did we spend any time on this at all? We literally could have just said, what are your priorities for the OPP detachment? Like, we're literally saying, unless this is an exercise in futility, we are saying that these are the priorities. And I don't know that anybody in the city of Pembroke would look at this list and say, well, that's a priority. I think everybody would look at this and say, those are expectations I have on every police force. Like, I'm wondering, given currently the not just the local issue, but for instance, the national and frankly international thing, like, how is drug enforcement not a specific priority? Because I have to tell you, for hundreds if not thousands of people in this area, that is a specific priority to drill down on. So I'd be happy to hear from other councillors, and maybe the mayor wants to jump in, but I'm inclined at this point to say that I want to amend this list to add drug enforcement as a priority, because I actually believe and see that as a priority. Otherwise, I think this is, I mean, I don't know, like, this list, ChatGPT could have came up with this list of policing priorities. There's nothing special or local or different about anything in this list. So maybe I'm grasping at this the wrong way, but I think if we're asking the public to drill down, it should be a bit more specific and a bit more localized than what we're seeing.
Okay, I have a mayor first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to Madam Clerk for the report. So if we can take a step back, underneath the former legislation, there was an action plan, as Councillor Keel knows, because Councillor Keel was on the Police Services Board at one time, and it got handed to us. There was no consultation, there was none of that. It was, here's the glossy action plan, which is a very, it's a detachment action plan by the OPP and is extremely high level, and point well taken by Councillor Keel in terms of if one was to look at that or look at this, it's like, okay, well, that's nice, but it's not very specific. So let's go one step further. Underneath the new legislation, then, it's still the detachment commander that must create the report, but the legislation, and I pulled up section 70 to have it in front of me, the detachment commander must consult with, and this is part of the consultation, consult with council, consult with the police board, consult with the public. And so, yes, it is very high level, and point well taken. And so if Councillor Keel says, well, in addition to those, let's add this specific one. Now, I know Councillor Frenia and I know that from the Special Police Services Board meeting, that what the detachment commander has in mind to obtain input from the public is to put out a menu of different questions and so forth that is much more specific than headings, but it's to drill down and try and get some further information to develop a detachment plan. And it is a detachment plan. It's not just for the city of Pembroke, although I will bring forward to this council that there was, the Police Services Board did have discussion about is there the potential for some Pembroke content, and so the indication I understood from the inspector is that he was going to take that away and see if when it rolls out to the public that there could be some indication as to not necessarily where you live. I don't know that the OPP want to know that you live on Noack versus some other street, but are you in Pembroke? Are you in Laurentian Valley? Are you in Petawawa? That sort of thing. And so he's taking that away and says, okay, I understand, and I'm hopeful that assists the police board, assists council, assists in terms of addressing certain local issues, although it as I understand it, from what was indicated by the inspector, it's not going to find its way into the detachment commander action plan for the entire detachment, because it's just not going to, you're not going to see specific things about Pembroke or Ottawa or something like that, but at least that, if you're going to do it, at least get the information, and then you can use it later somewhere else. So that's how I interpreted the response, but I fully, and that's why it's here, so I fully understand where Councillor Keel's coming from, and if that's one of the items, that's the point of what this is all about. It's like, okay, inspector, throw this one in there too, and then develop some more specific questions that falls underneath that one, and then that will roll out to the public so that the public can provide comment, and then they are to utilize that in terms of drafting their action plan. And point well taken. I'm happy, though, underneath this new piece of legislation that this is actually happening, because I do remember underneath the old situation, the old act, it was, here's your glossy action plan, and no input. And I'm not saying that's not to take away from the OPP and the work that they do in terms of the city of Pembroke, but as an overarching plan, it's no different than when we have community safety and well-being plans and everything else. It's an overall type of plan, and it's the devil's in the detail. But point well taken.
One follow-up.
If I could follow up then, and I agree with the mayor that, I mean, one of the good things was that we do have this ability to be engaged. And if we're going to be engaged, I would like us then to address the elephant in the room in terms of crime at the moment, which is the drug enforcement. So I would move that we accept these priorities with a sixth point of drug enforcement.
Mr. Frenier?
And thank you.
So I'll second that motion, as well as, I just want to say that I totally agree with that. So you look at any one of these headings, example, if someone said, well, seniors should be on there, seniors are under support for vulnerable populations. So yeah, it's a wide scope, but I do agree, because that's such a priority now in most communities, that we put it there. So thank you.
Councillor Purcell?
Thank you, Chair. I guess maybe something that's missing is that the inspector was to come back and provide us the 2024 stats. I know that he gave us a little brief summary in terms of what was transpiring, but how do you go ahead and do priorities without really kind of making the stats public? At least to this council, it was to be provided. There was no follow-up. So I know that in terms of the increased crime rate index and clearance rates are, you know, above average. So I think we need to have that information before we start looking at priorities in terms of identifying opportunities for improvement. And I would suggest that that extra bullet also include encampment supports. So I know that there's been some discussions in regards to encampments, and you know, some of the feedback that I received, and this is from the OPP, is their responsibility for encampments is just to stand by and keep peace. So there's no enforcement activities that are actually currently happening with the encampments.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with everyone here with the drug enforcement and the encampment. The community watch meetings that we have, we hear resounding comments on drug enforcement from all, you know, certain areas of Pembroke, and so it's important to include that in the plan. Thank you.
Councillor Jacquinot?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe this will be a conduit to establish some positive information. For example, last Sunday, my wife and I were driving down the street, and right across from City Hall, there were 4 people sitting on the sidewalk, obviously in distress of some nature. Across the street at the Memorial Park here, there were another 6 individuals, 3 sleeping on the ground. Some of them were being obnoxious, screaming, profanity. So we kind of made a turnaround. I was going to use the phone to call the police, but somebody already reported it, and there were 3 police cruisers at the site. But we had to come back in and out of town, and an hour later, the police were still there engaging with those individuals, trying to find out what the issues were. But I mean, I can't judge somebody from looking at them, but if you're sitting on the sidewalk and you have difficulty getting up and you're stumbling and falling, you're either inebriated or you're under the influence of a drug. That's my overall assertion. I could be wrong. Maybe the person was having some sort of a medical problem. But there were too many of them there to be having the same thing all at the same time. So I have to say that I appreciate that the OPP were there and they were handling the issue. And shortly after that, those individuals were not there. So I don't know where they were taken, what was done with them, but I believe that they were doing the job. But as Councillor Keel says, what is priority? And I believe that if the public is involved and they're seeing what I'm seeing as an individual, having lived here all my life, I think, that's probably going to come to the top of the heap. So hopefully as you said, the chief will be here to get back to us and tell us, where we should be going from here. But, we are the employer, they are the employees. So our direction is to direct them through whatever information we can gather and try and work together. So I truly believe that what you've said really has a great deal of validity. Councillor Keel.
Councillor Frenier?
So I just want to, again, if we were to go around the table a couple more times, someone might bring up that we want more foot patrols in Pembroke. The lighting in downtown needs to be upgraded. The waterfront security needs to be upgraded. So that's not what we're dealing with here, is Pembroke specific. What they're doing is giving us these titles. Now, if someone has concerns about encampments, then they would fill out the survey and say, yeah, we want this to be a priority, more community engagement and partnerships to deal with it. So I think everything we would come up with here as a problem we want to see addressed in Pembroke will come under one of these subtitles. So I don't want to muddy it either, and I think that message came to the board, the Police Service Board. We want to keep it broad, but certainly we want to know, and we made it clear to him, where do these individuals live, not necessarily a street, so that we can take those stats out of this survey and say, okay, this is what came out of the Pembroke residents, and hopefully it is going to be things like, drug crimes, foot patrol, lighting. Anyway, I think this is the template they use. We will pull the stats later to make our own priorities for the city of Pembroke on our own Police Services Board. You see, so this is an overall umbrella. We'll take the information at our local level and decide what our own priorities are. So I hope that explains it.
Okay. Clerk?
So if there is consensus with these headings and priorities as discussed, I think there may be a little more leeway to have a little bit more control over the sub-questions that fall under. So considering all the points made today, I will reiterate that to the inspector too. It is the detachment specific survey, and I think given the broad headings, we have a little bit more control and input over what the sub-questions are. So I can reiterate that to him.
Can I just, I think we asked if we could see a copy of the questions, and I'm not sure if time allows us, but it would be nice if it came back to us.
Yeah, I will follow up with him and circulate accordingly when received.
Okay, we still do have a motion on the floor and a second to add the extra bullet for drug enforcement.
6 points.
Right, so 6 points. So I would call the question. Those in favor of adding 6 points? Carried unanimously. Okay, thank you. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Keel, Deputy Mayor, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the striking committee to order for September 16th. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion for the approval of this striking committee. Moved by Councillor Plummer, second by Councillor Keel. Those in favor? That is carried. Okay. So did we not approve the July 15th minutes previously, Madam Clerk, or do you want me just to skip it for this evening? Okay, so moving past number 4, And 5, I'd entertain a motion. I understand, Councillor Jacquino, you have a motion to move into a closed session?
I do, Your Worship. Motion to move into a striking committee and caucus meeting of September 16, 2025. Motion by myself, seconded by his deputy mayor, that this meeting become a closed meeting to discuss personal matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal or local board employees regarding membership to the Waterfront Advisory Committee as per Section 239, subsection 2-B of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended. Your Worship.
Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor to make this meeting a closed meeting and to discuss the Waterfront Advisory Committee as per Section 239-2B. Call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. We'll now move into a closed session. A striking committee in caucus was held just earlier to discuss personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, regarding membership to the Waterfront Advisory Committee as per Section 239(2)B of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended. There were no pecuniary interests declared, and a report is now coming forward from Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. So the Waterfront Advisory Committee provides recommendations to Council by identifying opportunities to demonstrate environmental stewardship, beautify, and enhance the Pembroke waterfront as a people gathering place. A resignation from a community member who serves on the committee was received, and staff was directed by Council to advertise for the vacancy. This was done from July 28th, 2025 to August 25th, 2025. Additionally, there has been a vacancy from a resignation received from a member of council, so that will need to be filled as well. In closed session, Alex Emond was referred to be appointed, and that is the recommendation as it stands. So we will need to appoint a council member as well due to the resignation received. And we thought it better to do it in open as it stands.
So on the first point, in terms of in terms of the first point, in terms of Mr. Emo, do you want a motion to that effect to get him on the committee, and then we can address the second point?
Yep, that would be fine.
Okay, so do I have a motion to appoint Alex, I think it is, Alex Emo? So moved by Councillor Keel, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Those in favor? That is carried. And then the second point, Madam Clerk, is there's a resignation to the same committee by a member of council. Did we want to, did you want to say anything more about it, or do you want me to try and, because there's another committee then as well that we're going to deal with, correct?
Yes, and that resignation will be handled separately through a report directly following this very simple report, just to handle the two resignations and appointments separately to the two separate committees.
So we dealt with Mr. Emo being a member by the public being appointed. You've told us that there's someone, a council member that has resigned from that committee. So did you want to move into your second part then and deal with that one?
I'd rather deal with that just in a separate report. So if we can appoint the one council member to the Waterfront Advisory Committee, then we can appoint the second councillor and receive the resignation in the second report.
Okay. Did I not call the question? Maybe I didn't call the question. You moved to get Alex Emo on the committee? Yeah, so that's done. Okay,
And now we just have to appoint the council member.
okay,
And there's a second report to deal with a separate resignation from a different committee.
okay. So
in the
does someone
second
want to
report.
make a motion to appoint someone to shore up and get that committee to full strength again from council members? Councillor Keel.
So to provide maybe some context, I think my being on that particular committee was not in the best interest of council. So in speaking with Councillor Lafreniere, we both sit on different waterfront committees, she on the development one and me on the waterfront one, and we discussed that we would be happy to switch with each other to take me off the one. So that for that reason, I would propose that Councillor Lafreniere be appointed to the Waterfront Advisory Committee.
Do I have a second for that? Seconded by Councillor Purcell? Yes? Those in favor of that one? That is carried. And then, Madam Clerk, you want to deal with the other committee in light of the report that's been given by Councillor Keel?
Absolutely. And essentially, it's just a very simple administrative task. So we've received a resignation from a councillor for the Water Development Committee, and we need to appoint another councillor to take their place.
So other than these two, do I have a motion to appoint Councillor Lafreniere to that other committee? Moved by Councillor Plummer, seconded by the Deputy Mayor.
Excuse me, point of order. It's to appoint Councillor Keel to the Development Committee.
So yes, and Councillor Lafreniere is coming to the other one. Okay.
Yes.
So that's your motion?
Yes, to appoint Councillor Keel to the Development Committee.
And you're seconding that?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay. Those in favor? And that is carried. Great. Thank you. So if that's all the items for the striking committee, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn that one. Moved by Councillor Purcell, seconded by Councillor Plummer. Those in favor? And we are adjourned this one. Evening, everyone. Before calling this council meeting to order with the indulgence of council, I recognize that we don't have an approval of the agenda, but before we get to number 9, bylaws, if we could do number 10, motion to reconsider before the bylaws, because it would just flow a whole lot easier. So if there's no difficulties that way with people, I'm seeing no's. Okay, so if we can do that at that point. Okay, so call the meeting to order. I would ask those that wish to please take an opportunity to stand for an opening prayer or reflection. Before opening this meeting of council, I would ask those who wish, each in your own way, silently join in a prayer or guidance over these proceedings. Thank you. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest in relation to the matters that are on this agenda? Councillor Keel.
I wish to declare a pecuniary interest with respect to number 9B, 9C, 9D, and 9E.
Thank you. Are there other individuals wishing to declare a pecuniary interest? I will be calling upon the Deputy Mayor when we get to 9E, as Robert Shepherd has been retained on behalf of the city in respect to that particular matter. Moving ahead to minutes. So the first up is regular meeting of council, September 2nd. Moved by Councillor Frenier, seconded by Councillor Keel. Those in favor? That is carried. Adoption of minutes from committees. We have Striking Committee, July 15, 2025, moved by Councillor Keel, seconded by Councillor Plummer. Those in favor? That is carried. And last for this evening is receiving minutes from local boards, Pembroke Heritage Murals Committee, September 3rd. I have moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Plummer. Those in favor? That is carried. There are no delegations and presentations or business arising from that. That moves us to Staff Committee reports. First up is Operations Committee endorsing of the UOV OPP Committee Engagement Plan Key Priorities. So, Councillor.
So I have a question now. We're going to ask for this to be amended. So should we still be?
So I believe it was earlier this evening amended, and so as long as you're reading it in the amended fashion.
With drug enforcement? Okay, I will add that. Thank you. Your Operations Committee of Council begs to report and recommend from its meeting held this evening as follows. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Purcell, that the City of Pembroke Council endorse the identified priorities of the Upper Ottawa Valley OPP Engagement Plan as follows. Drug enforcement, public safety and crime prevention, community engagement and partnerships, support for vulnerable populations, traffic and road safety, emergency response, and preparedness.
Just to confirm, the way it was said is drug enforcement, correct?
Or should it be illegal substance? I don't know.
Well,
like-
what was, Councillor Keel, was your motion what? Drug enforcement, so I've now written it in, I just want to make sure that it's clear for going forward. So your Operations Committee of Council begs to report and recommend from its meeting held earlier this evening, moved by Councillor Frenier, seconded by Councillor Purcell, that the City of Pembroke Council endorse the identified priorities of the Upper Ottawa Valley OPP engagement plans as follows. Drug enforcement, public safety and crime prevention, community engagement and partnerships, support for vulnerable populations, traffic and road safety, emergency response and preparedness. Councillor Frenier, did you wish to speak to this report?
This was
resolution.
discussed earlier tonight, and it was also on the Police Services Board meeting. So that was discussed there as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Call the question. Those in favor? And that is carried. The next is Striking Committee, Pembroke Waterfront Advisory Committee, Councillor Giacono.
Your Worship and members of Council, your Striking Committee of Council begs to report and recommend from its meeting held this evening as follows. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Plummer, that the City of Pembroke Council appoint Alex Emo to the Waterfront Advisory Committee. And awaiting your signature, Your Worship.
Thank you. Striking Committee of Council begs to report and recommend from its meeting held this evening as follows. Moved by Councillor Giacono, seconded by Councillor Plummer, that the City of Pembroke Council appoint Alex Emo to the Waterfront Advisory Committee. Did you wish to speak to it? Seeing not, I call the
No, Your
question. Okay, those in favor? And that is carried. And last but not least, we have Striking Committee Waterfront Development Advisory Committee. Councillor Purcell.
Thank you, Mayor. The Striking Committee of Council begs to report and recommend from its meeting held this evening, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Fernie, that the City of Pembroke Council appoint Councillor Keel to the Waterfront Development Committee, and furthermore, that the Council appoints Councillor Fernie to the Waterfront Advisory Committee.
So Striking Committee Council begs to report and recommend from its meeting held this evening, moved by Councillor Purcell, seconded by Councillor Fernie, that the City of Pembroke Council appoint Councillor Keel to the Waterfront Development Committee. And furthermore,
That Council appoints Councillor Fernier to the Waterfront Advisory Committee. Sorry, Mayor, I didn't have a chance to write it down.
Fernier to okay. Call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. Okay. A number of proclamations this evening. The first proclamation is that I do hereby declare September 21st through the 27th as National Legion Week in the City of Pembroke, whereas the Ontario Provincial Command of the Royal Canadian Legion represents 9 districts, which includes 390 branches with membership of over 89,000, and whereas the Legion is a non-profit organization assuming the responsibility of maintaining the tradition of remembrance of those who paid the supreme sacrifice by defending our great nation in the past and present conflicts, so that we as Canadians can live in the freedom that we enjoy today, and whereas the Legion continues to support and represent our veterans of past and present with many benefits as a result of the determination of our thousands of dedicated members at all levels of the organization, and whereas the Legion branches across the province work together with their affiliated organizations, the Ladies Auxiliary, to raise funds in support of the many programs within Ontario Command of the Royal Canadian Legion, and whereas with millions of dollars being raised from branch and Ladies Auxiliary projects, the Legion supports numerous programs benefiting veterans, seniors, and youth within our communities. So as indicated, September 21st to the 27th is National Legion Week. Let us take the time to highlight the contributions of our branches across Canada, underscore the Legion's commitment to veteran support, and welcome new members to their halls. Truly, this is an organization that is beneficial to our community. If you have not received, I can certainly make it available to you. The Legion has a whole list of different events planned from September 21st through to the 27th, so certainly it's on social media, but otherwise I can certainly circulate the flyer of many different events going on throughout the course of it, kicking off with the September 21st, this Sunday, with the wreath laying at the Cenotaph, as well as the inauguration of the commemorative crosswalk at 1:15. So, therefore, be it resolved that I, Ron Gerva, Mayor of the City of Pembroke, proclaim September 21st through the 27th as National Legion Week throughout the City of Pembroke, and dated by myself today's date. The second item is Franco-Ontarian Day. So I do hereby declare September 21st, 2025 as Franco-Ontarian Day in the city of Pembroke, whereas the Franco-Ontarian Day Act recognizes that Franco-Ontarians commemorate September 25th to celebrate their language and heritage and also take pride in their collective accomplishments. Whereas by proclaiming September 25th as Franco-Ontarian Day, this act officially recognizes the contributions of the Francophone community of Ontario to the social, economic, and political life of the province and the community's importance in Ontario's society. And whereas 2025 marks 50th anniversary of the Franco-Ontarian flag, whereas there are more than 600,000 Franco-Ontarians in Ontario, the largest Francophone community outside of Quebec, and whereas Franco-Ontarian Day has become an annual occasion to celebrate the Francophone community. So as indicated in the proclamation, September 25th is the Franco-Ontarian Day. The Franco-Ontarian flag will be proudly flown on September 25th through to the 27th here at City Hall. Next proclamation is Test Your Smoke Alarm Day. I do hereby declare September 28th, 2025 as Test Your Smoke Alarm Day in the city of Pembroke. Whereas the city of Pembroke is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our city, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at greatest risk from fire. And whereas home fires result in an average of 24,000 fires, 3,100 injuries, and 377 deaths each year in Canada, whereas 1/3 of fatal fires in Canada do not have working smoke alarms, and whereas working smoke alarms significantly reduce the risk of dying in home fires, whereas the Pembroke Fire Department is dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. Whereas the City of Pembroke residents are responsive to public education measures and are able to take personal steps to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. Whereas September 20th, 2025 has been dedicated as Test Your Smoke Alarm Day in the province of Ontario to ensure Ontarians are prepared to be saved by the beep with a working smoke alarm, as it is your best chance to keep you and your family safe in the event of a fire. So smoke alarms, I'm sure that it's trite to say, saves lives. But apparently I need to say this, and the fire chief needs to emphasize this because it's apparently not getting across to people in our community that you should be testing your smoke alarms, having smoke alarms if you don't already have smoke alarms, and we as a society need to do more to raise awareness to have working smoke alarms in your homes. Please install, test, and ensure that these smoke alarms are working, because as it is indicated in the proclamation, it is your first and best defense. So therefore, I, Ron Jerva, Mayor of the City of Pembroke, do hereby proclaim September 28, 2025 as Test Your Smoke Alarm Day throughout the city, and I urge people of Pembroke to check their smoke alarms and to support this public safety effort of the Pembroke Fire Department. Next one is the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. I do hereby declare September 30th, 2025 as National Day for Truth and Reconciliation in the City of Pembroke. Whereas the Truth and Reconciliation Commission released its final report on June 2nd, 2015, which includes 94 calls to action to redress the legacy of residential schools and advance the process of Canadian reconciliation. Whereas the discoveries of remains and unmarked graves across Canada have led to increased calls for all levels of government to address the recommendations of the TRC's calls to action. And whereas all Canadians and all orders of government have a role to play in reconciliation. Whereas recommendation number 80 of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission called upon the federal government in collaboration with Aboriginal peoples to establish a statutory holiday, a national day for truth and reconciliation to ensure that the public commemoration of the history and legacy of residential schools remains a vital component of the reconciliation process, and September 30th has been identified as that day. So as indicated, September 30th is the National Truth and Reconciliation Day. This is a day to solemnly consider the significance for our community and across this particular country. We honor the survivors of the residential school system and remember those who did not return home. The flag for National Truth and Reconciliation Day will be flown at City Hall, and all other flags will be reduced to half-mast. I can indicate that, as has probably been noted, there's a banner across our main street. We have been having discussions with others to try and reflect upon what the next steps are. Yes, there is the statement that we read at the commencement of our council meetings, but what is the next step? Where do we move forward? I know at AMO there was conversation on the topic, and certainly there was a report that was produced, Association of Municipalities of Ontario Indigenous Reconciliation Action Plan. So certainly there needs to be additional steps, and it's taking those steps forward in a thoughtful, respectful manner. I know that City Hall will be closed on that day. And as I understand it, there will be a walk, and it will be involving, I believe, Family and Children's Services as well as Algonquin College, and I encourage anyone to participate with that. So, I, Ron Gerva, Mayor of the City of Pembroke, do hereby proclaim September 30th, 2025 as National Day for Truth and Reconciliation in the City of Pembroke and encourage all to join this observance. The final proclamation for this evening is, I do hereby declare October 5th through the 11th, 2025 as Fire Prevention Week in the City of Pembroke. Whereas the City of Pembroke is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting the city, and whereas fire remains a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and the presence of lithium-ion batteries in many household devices introduces unique fire risks, and whereas most of the electronics used in homes daily include smartphones, tablets, laptops, power tools, e-bikes, e-scooters, and toys, and they're powered by lithium-ion batteries, which, if misused or damaged or improperly charged, can overheat, start a fire, or explode. Whereas the fire service reports an increase in battery-related fires, underscoring the need for public education on the safe use of lithium-ion batteries. And whereas residents should follow 3 key calls to action, but only listed buy only listed products, charge batteries safely, and recycle them responsibly to prevent battery-related fires. And whereas lithium-ion batteries store a large amount of energy in a small space, and improper use such as overcharging, use of off-brand chargers without safety certification, or exposing batteries to damage can result in fire or explosion. Whereas the proper disposal and recycling of lithium-ion batteries help prevent environmental hazards and reduce fire risks in home and community. And whereas the Pembroke Fire Department is dedicated to reducing the occurrence of fires through prevention, safety education, and community outreach. And whereas the 2025 Fire Prevention Week theme is Change into Fire Safety Lithium-Ion Batteries in Your Home. Charge. Charge into fire safety lithium-ion batteries in your home. Serves to remind us of the importance of using, charging, and recycling lithium-ion batteries safely to reduce the risks of fires in home communities. So quite a lengthy proclamation, but it's to get the point across that technologies change, and with this particular technology, there are risks associated with it. I'm sure that we've all seen in social media and other places, individuals charging laptops and putting them, or iPads and so forth, and putting them underneath pillows, and fires that have instituted. And I commend our fire department for being proactive in bringing this to our attention, and more specifically, bringing it to the attention of the public at large to be careful of this particular technology. It has its place, but there are risks associated with that technology. And so therefore, I, Ron Gerva, Mayor of the City of Pembroke, do hereby proclaim October 5th through to the 11th, 2025 as Fire Prevention Week throughout the city, and I urge all residents of the Pembroke to check their smoke alarms, also learn of the importance of using, charging, and recycling lithium-ion batteries safely during Fire Prevention Week 2025, and overall to support the many public safety activities and efforts of the Pembroke Fire Department and all fire departments across Ontario. So that concludes the proclamations for this evening, and so in keeping with Council's permission, if we can move to motion to reconsider bylaw regarding agreement with Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM Green Municipal Fund. It's the Deputy Mayor's motion.
We're doing the ZVIP grant first. That was first on the agenda that we moved.
Deputy Mayor, sorry to interrupt, but you need to have a motion to reconsider, so your motion's up to vote on that,
Okay.
and then any reports would then follow if need
Okay.
be.
And so my understanding is, in looking at our procedural bylaw, no debate on the motion to reconsider is permitted. However, mover and seconder, I understand it's Councillor Purcell, to provide a brief and concise statement outlining the reasons for proposing such a reconsideration, but perhaps you might want to read the motion so that it's fresh in our minds.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Troy Purcell. Motion to reconsider bylaw regarding the agreement with Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM Green Municipal Fund Grant. Whereas Council of the Corporation of the City previously decided to withdraw the bylaw authorizing the city to enter an agreement with the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Green Municipal Fund for a grant of $500,000 intended to support the lease of 2 electric minibuses in year 2 and 3 of the city's 3-year public transit pilot project. And whereas subsequent review, community feedback, and consideration of program objectives indicate that it is in public interest to revisit that decision. Therefore, be resolved that notice is hereby given of a motion to reconsider Council's decision to pull the bylaw authorizing the entering into agreement with the Federation of Municipalities Green Municipal Fund for a $500,000 grant to support the lease of 2 electric minibuses for year 2 and 3 of the City of Pembroke Public Transit Project. So we have new information that came forward. When we had we pulled the bylaw, Councillor Keel made the motion to pull the bylaw. Most of it was due to the overage in the DC fast charger grant, because these buses need, you can charge them overnight with a level 2 charger, but the DC fast charger charges in 30 to 40 minutes. If it's half full, it charges in 20 minutes. We've all read the report that the Treasurer presented, and I want to commend the Treasurer and staff and the Fire Chief and Operations Department and Justin Allen and staff at ORPC and ORES for coming up with a new location of the fire hall, which we're only $23,922 over budget now. We got a $100,000 grant from ZVIP, the federal government, and we approved the $261,600 in the capital budget in January budget deliberations. This is our first real step going forward for climate action and electric vehicle changes that we're doing, as the Treasurer has noted. So it's within the 15% threshold, and it's we have the money in the surplus funds to cover it. We have a $500,000 grant available from the Canadian Federation of Municipalities, and we've read that report, and that's going to bring us a budget savings of $321,000 and a tax decrease in the original January transit budget that we approved on January 21st. So it's going to be a decrease. $321,000 is a lot of money. In addition to that, electric buses, it fits in with our mandate of the climate emergency mandate we declared. It fits in with the climate Partners for Climate Protection, Canadian Federation of Municipalities that we're a member of. I just wanted to highlight a couple concerns about the buses. I had a text from somebody, a council member, about the fires that was in Montreal, the Lion bus fire, and the research shows, so that Lion company had 3 fires. It was due to the heating system, not the electrical battery, and research shows that gas and diesel powered vehicles 60 times more apt to get on fire. I contacted the fire chief. I had a conversation with him the other day, and he said that I asked him some questions, and I said, do you have an issue with electric vehicles or minibuses in Pembroke? He said, no. Have we ever had any electric vehicle fires in Pembroke? We've not had any fires related specifically to battery systems of EV vehicles. Do you have safety plans in place in case there's electric vehicle fire? Yes, we have plans in place. Have we had gas or diesel powered fires? Yes, we have. So the province of Ontario supports heavily electrification. Metrolinx, the Toronto Transit Commission, they've partnered with the municipalities, they've given funding. They partner with the federal government for electric buses all over the province. So it's a provincial mandate to have electrification, and they're spending billions of dollars in the next 20 years, 30 years on electrification. This is a lease. It's not a permanent thing. We're going to have one gas backup, 2 electric vehicles. You lose the distance in the winter, your distance of 25%, but they put a small diesel heater inside, then you only lose 9%. St. John's, New Brunswick has gone through 2 winters with 6 minibuses. Customer satisfaction went up and performance went up, and they had no issues with the vehicles. So these are the kind of things we have. You talk about the budget, save $321,000. You talk about the programs that we're involved in, that everybody, most councillors voted for. It was nice to see during the election that some councillors were talking transit, environmentally friendly, more chargers. So here we are tonight. This is a good news story for Pembroke. It'll put us on the map as one of the few communities our size with 2 electric minibuses in the community. So I say we move forward. And, you know, it's not often you get a grant for $100,000 for DC fast charger and $500,000. And this program does not exist anymore with the Green Municipal Fund. We were grandfathered, so we're very fortunate. We're going to be needing grants down the road for a pool, sportsplex. The Canadian Federation of Municipalities have grants and the Green Municipal Fund. So it's imperative that, you know, we take the money and don't turn it down. I don't think anyone's ever turned down a $500,000 grant. So I could go on and on about all the other issues, but this is the updated news, Your Worship, and I hope that Council supports it. We need 5 out of 7 votes for reconsideration. I'll be asking the clerk for recorded vote. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, so thank you, Deputy Mayor. So that's the reasons, is there's new information for proposing the reconsideration. The seconder gets to, in keeping with this procedural bylaw, gets to comment as well, and then we'll call the question on the motion to reconsider.
Thank you, Mayor. I think, you know, the Deputy Mayor said it very well. With the new information that came to light in regards to the new location and the assessment of the new location, I do think that it would be doing our residents a disservice by not reviewing this a second time. It's an opportunity to, again, to meet our climate crisis initiatives by going electric instead of using diesel. There has been some discussions and some talk in terms of, you know, maybe even looking at potential expansion of the Ottawa transit system. You know, there'd be a good opportunity to utilize the fast chargers that we're going to implement for other pieces of equipment that we may purchase down the road too. So not only would it be used for the buses, but it could be used for other electric equipment if we choose to go down that direction. This morning I was reminded, we were talking about the 200th anniversary, and I was reminded about you know, one of the first in terms of the city of Pembroke was the electrification in terms of street lights down on Main Street, which has happened in the late 1800s. We were a pioneer then in terms of electricity, and it just kind of seems like, you know, you're looking back 200 years and coming to fruition in terms of going from electric street lights to electric buses is kind of neat. But that being said, I do think that it makes economic sense in terms of just looking at, you know, if we accept the FCM grant, it could be a reduction in regards to the levy increase from 0.65 and 0.68 in years 2 and 3 to 0.23 instead of the 6.5. So that would be a substantial decrease for our ratepayers, and we would also have the electrified buses. We're starting to see some really good intake in regards to the uptick in terms of individuals utilizing our bus service, and I'm looking forward to, you know, discussing any future possibilities of expansion with the County of Renfrew, Laurentian Valley, and Petawawa as we move forward. So thank you.
Thank you. And so as I understand, Deputy Mayor, you've asked for a recorded vote on the motion to reconsider. And I'm just looking at it because I do not have this memorized. No delegation shall be permitted to speak on a notice of motion. And talks about if it carries or is defeated. Okay. So I guess I can call the question and turn it over to Madam Clerk to do the, or one of them.
Okay, so I trust we all know what the motion is as the Deputy Mayor read it. Okay, so Deputy Mayor Brian Abdallah,
Yes.
Councillor Ed Jacquino,
No.
Councillor Ian Keel,
No.
Councillor Pat Lafreniere,
Yes.
Councillor Andrew Plummer,
No.
Councillor Troy Purcell,
Yes.
and Mayor Ron Jerva.
Nay.
Okay, so the motion is defeated 4-3.
Okay. Moving to bylaws, I believe, did I?
So, just for clarification, in terms of the ZEVIP grant, it's sort of its own report because we don't, any vehicle in the city in the future could use the grant. So I would just so appreciate the FCM's not considered. I'm just wondering, are we also turning down the ZEVIP grant as well, or do we want to move it to the fire department for the benefit of the city of Pembroke or not? So that hasn't been discussed yet by the group.
I'm wondering, and I think I'll look to Councillor Keel in terms of procedurally, if we tabled both of them, do we technically do a motion to lift it from the table? Can we do it at a council meeting? So I'd look into yourself.
So I would say that we could, because we in fact tabled it to the results of this council. So in effect, I think we basically moved it to this council for consideration. So procedurally, I think that is up to us now in this meeting to deal with it.
So would you then move to lift the ZBIP one from the table so that, and then if there's a seconder, we could discuss what Madam Treasurer wants to talk about. So moved by Councillor Keel, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Those in favor of lifting it from the table, that is carried. Okay. So now we have it off the table and we have Madam Treasurer asking what we're doing with respect to that particular item. Councillor.
So I don't know if you want me to review the report or not. As was mentioned by the Deputy Mayor, we have looked at alternate locations. The location at the fire hall is significantly less expensive just because we don't have to do significant parking lot alterations. But the installation itself is estimated to cost $285,000. Now, this is a level 3 charger, so whereas a vehicle can use level 2 for overnight charging, if you need fast charging in an hour or less, you need a level 3 charger. We don't have any electric vehicles in the fleet right now, but we need chargers in order to be able to look at them in the future, unless we just want to use the public ones that are around the city that ORPC uses. So it's I guess it's just a question for council, because if you want to cancel the ZEVIP grant, then we should be repealing the bylaw where we passed the agreement back in, I think it was March. So just looking for some direction on council. Now that we're not doing electric vehicles, are we still interested in having it for general city use? Or am I going to put in the next council meeting to repeal that bylaw on the ZEVIP funding agreement?
I have Councillor Keel, Deputy Mayor, and then Councillor Jacquino.
One question, and then I think I'll have a motion to move. The $23,000 overage, we're taking that from where?
So there are a variety of small balances available from the 2024 capital project plan. where we underspent compared to the budget, and we typically use that funding to fund, small differences like this when it falls under the 15% $75,000 rule. So it wouldn't come from a reserve per se, it would just come from carry forward funding. And if it's not used here, then it would be carrying forward into a project that's going to be included in the 2026 capital budget.
Right. So I'm certainly a big fan of Pembroke installing chargers. I know some people are not of the belief that electric cars are where things are going. I think we're long past the reality that that is where things are going. This is essentially giving us $100,000 off of this project with this grant. So I would move that we approve the new location and proceed with the, what are we calling it, the ZEVA grant?
Okay,
Yeah.
So second by the deputy mayor, Stern.
Yeah, stand up. So, thanks again for the good report and working with staff, operations, or PC to find the location, and it's over budget by not, 23,000, but 15% threshold. It's a step forward. We don't know what Prime Minister Carney and the government are going to do with cutbacks, so it's a $100,000 grant, and if we don't take advantage of it now, there might not be one in the future. We don't know yet. So it's a good move forward, and it meets our climate emergency and climate for FCM climate for Partners for Climate Protection Program. But it's a good location, and it's a good move forward. Thank you, Your Worship.
Councillor Jacquinot?
I'm also in favor of trying to save our environment, My concern is this, that when you have a company that produces a product that catches on fire and it's a school bus, I have great consternation with that. And the City of Montreal has put a moratorium on all the electric vehicles, school buses. City of Ottawa has also done that. I believe the City of Guelph has also done that. And I cannot see a federal or a provincial government providing grants for a program that would jeopardize the children of people in the province. So, if you were to say, well, if we don't get the grant, we'll probably never get another one again. I can't see logistically how a government would say, you know what, here's the money, but this is not a safe product. Until that has been ascertained, I definitely feel that we should be sticking with what we got right now, and rather than forging ahead, just taking the money because it's there. I don't want some parent phoning me and saying, you guys, you have electric buses and it burned today and I lost 2 children in the fire. I'd have difficulty with that. So until, everything is ascertained positively, and I know the deputy mayor has been very passionate about it, and I think we all are, and as Councillor Purcell said, we were the innovators almost 200 years ago. But you can be an innovator as long as you don't blow yourself up. I don't have a problem with that, but I feel that the government of the province of Ontario and the federal government of Canada would not endorse something for their principal residents and their children that is not safe. So until I can be certain of that, I'd be quite happy to continue. It's a pilot project for 3 years with what we got. Thank you.
You, Councillor Plummer, and then Councillor Frenier.
I just would be in favor of the installation of electric chargers. Thank you, Councillor Jacquinot, for discussing bus issues, but that item was certainly will not be on the table at the moment because that was defeated in the motion to reconsider. So rest assured, there are no electric buses at this time, but these are just for the installation of the electric chargers. Electric chargers, I think, is good. You can put yourself on the map as an actual point on the Trans-Canada Highway as a spot that has Class 3 chargers. I know we have some chargers in town. I don't believe they're Class 3, but I could stand to be mistaken. But I think they're all Class 2 or low. Do they have one? Oh, there must be a new one. But anyways, this is an area people can pull in, easy access off the highway to give a quick charge of their vehicle and continue on the way. So I think it's a step in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Frenier.
I guess my concern, technology changes so quickly, and we don't have any electric vehicles in the city yet, and we don't know when they will be coming, and I just hope that technology isn't going to change so much that we spent this money for people to come in off the highway and then charge up and leave. So I understand the validity of having the chargers for people, but like I said, we don't have electric vehicles now, and I know that this is a grant, but how long is it going to be before we actually use this for ourselves, is my question. So are we spending this money way ahead of our time? So that would be my, just point of clarification too. It says 285,000. That's without the grant, right?
Through the chair. So that's the total cost of the project. So the city's portion would be 185,000.
Exactly.
Now, how we have it right now is that this would be a private charger only, so only for the benefit of the city of Pembroke. So I think if we wanted to open that to the public, I don't know if the fire hall would be the best choice for that. So I guess my question is more information needed in terms of potential future uses before committee and council make a
So further to that, I
decision?
agree with the treasurer. I'd like just more information. Like, technology is changing so quickly that if we're not going to get electric vehicles for a few years, is this going to be, need a $75,000 up facelift, or like, it does change really quickly. Look at your iPhones.
If we can go back in time when I was sitting on Ottawa River Energy, the chargers that have been put in place, and there was an Intercan grant, as I recall it, but they are to make money. You input off of your phone a code and so forth, and the ORES, Ottawa River Energy, makes money off of those because it's programmable. That's how you do it. If these are for the city of Pembroke, but we're not approving electric buses. And I don't know whether there's any electric vehicles in the city's fleet, but if there is none, what's the point of them? But just asking. Any supplemental from anyone before we deal with this? Deputy Mayor.
Well, just a question from the treasurer. Will the ZBIC grant allow us to open it to the public? But then we have to find a different location. You don't recommend the fire hall for that, eh?
Well, I think we would have to discuss that internally first before we could say
Right.
that's the best location to have it.
Okay.
So we had planned to have a card system with it. So I mean, I don't think it would be a big, and I would have to check with ORPC and ORES, but I don't think there would be a big cost increase to turn it into a public charger, but there might be, so that would be something else I would have to clarify
Right.
with.
I just want to clarify what Councillor Giacomo said. The 3 fires were by the same bus company, Lion Bus Company. It was, the fires were due to the heating system, not the electric battery, and that's the Lion Bus Company. The mini buses in St. John's is a different company, no fires, and like I said, 60 times more reliable. This charger would not be for electric buses. There's no electric buses in the county of Renfrew. There's no Lion buses, but just clarification. So
Fair enough.
do we want to get more information on this?
Thank you. Councillor Keel.
I guess my question would be, do we have time to get more information? Because if we could open this up as a public charging station, bit of back and forth here, but my thought would be we have I think a level 2 down at the marina. Do we install this beside the existing one at the marina? You often see several of them beside each other, and then we would actually be bringing people down to our waterfront right into town when they're looking at the map. So I don't know what the time constraints are on this grant, but if Madam Treasurer was able to get us more information, I'm keen to get more chargers in town, and if we're pivoting away from the bus, then maybe a third plan. Sorry, Madam Treasurer. would be ideal in a different location, and I would certainly support that because, you know, I do support chargers. I mean, Councillor Giacono's, you know, not incorrect. This is certainly new technology as compared to the combustible engine. I guess the only thing I would, you know, to have a respectful debate with Councillor Giacono is how many cars lose brakes and how many trucks, motors blow up. I mean, we talk a lot about the batteries catching fire right now too, but I mean, other vehicles have their own statistical issues as well. So I would be keen to perhaps table this for more information if Madam Treasurer thinks that that is worthwhile from her part. Obviously, we've sent her back a couple reports now, but if she thinks this could be repurposed, I would certainly be keen to hear that repurpose.
So through the chair, so I would just have to go back to the ZEVIP program to understand if it's permissible or not, and then, you know, discuss that internally. So, I mean, it's not, so the FCM was only postponed until the end of September. For the ZEVIP grant, I mean, we've agreed to it. It's just I haven't claimed any funds because I don't know if I'm changing the location. So we are permitted to change locations. I did clarify that. If we wanted to have it be a public-private charging situation, I could go back to the program and ask them that. I have to report quarterly, but I don't think it would be an issue to bring this back in October once we have more information.
So Councillor Keel, if you're tabling it, are you tabling it? I've learned something again, so that you've pointed out to me. Are you tabling it to a specific meeting like Finance and Admin or something so that you know where it's coming to?
Is that where you would like to bring it back?
So I would suggest tabling it to operations, just because I don't think I'm going to be able to get all the answers in a week.
What's your motion?
Table to operations.
Okay, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Those in favor? That is carried. This one will be tabled to ops. Thank you. That brings us to the following bylaws, B through E. So if we start with B, and Councillor Keel is removing himself from the table. So this one is being brought forward by Councillor Plummer.
Thank you, Worship. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Giacono, that bylaw 2025-69, a bylaw to amend bylaw 2020-05, Corporation of the City of Pembroke being a bylaw to regulate the use of lands and the character, location, and the use of buildings and structures in the City of Pembroke be adopted and passed. The first said bylaw be signed by the Mayor and Clerk and sealed with the seal of the Corporation.
Moved by Councillor Plummer and seconded by Councillor Giacono that bylaw 2025-69, a bylaw to amend bylaw 2020-5 of the Corporation of the City of Pembroke being a bylaw to regulate the use of lands and character, location, and use of buildings and structures in the City of Pembroke be adopted and passed, and further that said bylaw be signed by the Mayor and Clerk and sealed with the seal of the Corporation. Any comments?
Worship, this was dealt with a new development being constructed on Sealy Street.
Thank you. Call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. Next one is 2025-70 Official Plan Amendment 350 International Drive. Councillor Lafreniere.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Troy Purcell, that bylaw 2025-10, a bylaw to authorize the adoption of amendment number 26 to the official plan 2016 of the City of Pembroke planning area be adopted and passed. And further that the said bylaw be signed by the Mayor and Clerk and sealed with the seal of the Corporation.
Moved by Councillor Lafreniere and seconded by Councillor Purcell that bylaw 2025-10, a bylaw to authorize the adoption of amendment number 26 to the official plan 2016 of the City of Pembroke planning area be adopted and passed, and further said bylaw be signed by the Mayor and Clerk and sealed with the seal of the Corporation. Councillor Lafreniere, do you have any comments?
Yes, this official plan amendment changes the designation of the property known as 350 International Drive. And the purpose of this redesignation and rezoning is to allow for a cluster housing development of three 3-story, 16-unit apartment buildings and 1 amenity building. And this is just one more step in the intensification of lands within the city of Pembroke.
The other one. Those in favor, and it's carried. Okay, next one is, so that was 350, 2025-71 zoning bylaw amendment, 350 International Drive. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Troy Purcell. That bylaw 2025-71, a bylaw to amend bylaw 2020-05 of the Corporation of the City of Pembroke, being a bylaw to regulate the use of lands and the character, location, and use of buildings and structures in the City of Pembroke be adopted and passed, and further, that the said bylaw be signed by the Mayor and Clerk and sealed with the seal of the Corporation. Thank you.
Thank you. Moved by the Deputy Mayor and seconded by Councillor Purcell. That bylaw 2025-71, a bylaw to amend 2020-05 of the Corporation of the City of Pembroke, being a bylaw to regulate the use of lands and the character, location, and use of buildings and structures in the City of Pembroke, be adopted and passed, and further said bylaw be signed by the Mayor and Clerk and sealed with the seal of the Corporation. Deputy Mayor.
This was dealt with at an earlier meeting. No comment.
Okay, thank you. Call the question. Those in favor, and that is carried. And at this time, if I can call upon the Deputy Mayor to deal with 2025-72.
Bylaw 2025-72, lifting of a 1-foot reserve for 730 Cecilia Street. And just for the record, Mayor Gervais has left the table. Councillor Giacono.
Thank you. 2572 is what we're on, correct?
Yes,
Moved by
Councillor Giacono.
myself, seconded by Councillor Plummer, that bylaw 2025-72 being a bylaw to authorize the lifting of a 1-foot reserve in Grave Sisters, 1101494 Ontario Limited, Whitewood subdivision in the city of Pembroke be adopted and passed, and further that said bylaw be signed by the mayor or his designate, and waiting your signature.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Ed Giacono, seconded by Councillor Andrew Plummer, that bylaw 2025-72, a bylaw to authorize the lifting of a 1-foot reserve in Grey Sisters, Whitewood subdivision in the city of Pembroke be adopted and passed, and further, the said bylaw be signed by the Mayor and Clerk and sealed with the seal of the Corporation. Councillor Giacono, comments?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. This came before the advisory committee a little while back, and the combined committee approved the lifting of the 1-foot reserve in front of 730 Cecilia Street in order so that the owner could have access to their property from Cecilia Street, and further that the city of Pembroke would retain the ownership of this section of land as was presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Giacono. Those in favor? Motion carried. We'll now note that Mayor Gervais is returned to the table, as is Councillor Keel. Is that correct? Thank you.
There's no correspondence this evening. In respect to Mayor's report, I wish to bring forward my report at this time. On September 12th, I attended the grand opening of Osmo Shawarma, located at 1036 Pembroke Street East. It's truly a great restaurant, and please support all of our restaurants, but very good food. On September 13, I had the privilege of attending the grand opening of Venvy Heritage Manor here in Pembroke together with our MPP. I had the fortune of going to that manor previously when my aunt used to live there, and I can tell you truly this place has been transformed. Almost every unit has fireplaces, beautifully done, crown moldings, clearly a great residence for the individuals residing there. September 15th, I attended the grand opening of Neville Mediation here at City Hall. This is a mediation service assisting families through various challenges, whether it be separations, divorces, and so forth. And so we wish her much success here in the, not only in the city of Pembroke, but I understand that she will be offering her services throughout the entire area. In respect to other matters, bringing forward a couple information items. So the first up is regarding Community Services Committee of September 10th. Great deal of discussion happening about Ontario Works, Ontario Disability, funding freezes for the last approximately 5 years, which has having a trickle effect in terms of homelessness. There was discussion about the 5-year review of the housing and homelessness plan. There was discussion about HPP funding for 25-26, which apparently is going to be unchanged by the ministry at approximately $3.5 million. The net effect of what is that? It means that there's a strain upon the budget, and it forces the county to make decisions as to what to fund and what, frankly, not to fund, or at least to reduce the funding in certain areas. So not a pleasant conversation, but it's a reality check, and certainly the county has at AMO and will continue to advocate for appropriate levels of funding in all of those programs, because one has a net effect upon all the other ones as well. From Economic Development and Advisory Committee that Councillor Keel and I sit upon, a number of different great items raised at that particular committee, but one of special note for myself is the CIP that I understand by the end of this year, the revised CIP will be in place. It will be coming to council, I believe, in November for comment, but very pleased to see now the CIP remodeling, or the CIP revisions coming forward now that there is a consultant that has been retained. As always, stay safe and be kind to one another. Any notices of motion? Seeing none. Any councillor updates? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Worship. I just have two on behalf of the deputy, or behalf of the mayor and I. The committee watch meeting, we meet twice a year. And the next one is slated for October 15th at the Fire Hall at 7 p.m. If you need more information, contact myself, Steve Halpenny, or Mayor Gervais. Stan Halliday. My wife and I got involved with the committee, helping them promote the event. And we participated in the Terry Fox Run with Stan on Sunday. And this is Stan's 45th run that he did. 45 years doing the Terry Fox Run. And we want to commend him and thank him. And, you know, I called him our local hero. He's very humble. And his daughter-in-law, Erin, and his family get behind him. We had a barbecue at the Legion after, fundraiser barbecue. And they've raised over $6,000 already. And if you still want to donate, you can contact Stan or Aaron Halliday or myself. But, you know, we talk about community. And there's a guy that, you know, he's no spring chicken, but I think he's in better shape than I am, and I got to lose the weight, eh? But we had a wonderful experience, and we've all been touched by, we've all experienced cancer in our family, such a horrible disease, and we encourage everyone to take part in Terry Fox Run at their school and other locations, and we want to thank Stan and his group, and thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Jacquinot?
Bishop, I have a couple of things too. They're not really good news, but it's with great regret that I bring this letter of resignation forward to you, Mr. Mayor, and members of City Council. On September 2nd, at the regular meeting of the Pembroke Heritage Mural Committee, Pamela Dempsey announced her resignation as chair. It is effective at the end of the municipal term in 2026. Dennis Corrigan has been part of this committee for 30 years, and Jael Keelman 10 years. They both declined to step into the position. Since 1989, there have been many amazing people donating their time and energy to build a substantial public art project that illustrates Pembroke's vibrant and colorful heritage. Ms. Dempsey is very appreciative of the support of council over the years. She has worked with every department and many members of staff Pembroke is very fortunate to have amazing staff that have always been willing to assist and give advice when needed. The next 15 months will be a period of transition, but it is a time for another format to be created, so Pembroke's Outdoor Art Gallery will continue to be maintained. As the chairman of the Mural Committee, Your Worship, it really has been a pleasure to work with Pam. Pam has always had her nose to the grindstone attitude. She could be a little difficult to deal with from time to time, but that was her nature. She always had the benefit of the community at heart. She was not adverse from picking up a hammer or a chisel and trying to fix a minor problem on one of the murals to save the municipality money. She's a very talented individual, very artistic. She told me to be brief. I said I would. But how do you be brief with a person who's donated over 30 years of their life to a community that she loves? And it's very difficult to do that. But in summation, you know, if you had to hire an individual of that caliber from an art, an art background, you're looking at a, minimum salary of $60,000 a year. So, I mean, we would have had to pay somebody $1.8 million over the time that she spent here. To replace that individual will take, some looking, but I'm sure there are people out there that are willing to step forward. We thank Pam for dedicated service on behalf of all of council. I'm sure I can share that with her. On another sad note, Your Worship, Lois Frances Ellsford Pilot, beloved wife of Bob Pilot, passed away out in Vancouver. Lois was a very dedicated woman. She had served as a librarian in the north. Here she served as a volunteer at the local museum, the Pembroke Horticultural Society. She stood, hand in hand with her husband, Bob, as he served as a commissioner of the RCMP in the far north, Nunavut and Iqaluit. A tough place to live. They certainly helped change lives there. And because of that outstanding service, Bob was awarded the Order of Canada, by His Excellency, the Governor General. He served very well as the mayor of the city of Pembroke, and I was very proud and humbled to have served as his deputy mayor. I know that their move to the western province of British Columbia was to bring them closer to their children and their grandchildren. And it's difficult to say, but unless you've been there, the spouse of a mayor often bears the arrows and slings of the position that the mayor bears, and she gets it from all sides. So Lois had a joie de vivre. She was a wonderful individual. I was honored to know her, and we express our deepest condolences to the Pilot family, and we say hello to Bob, who had turned 91. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillor updates? Seeing none, there's no closed session this evening. Councillor Purcell confirming bylaw.
Thank you, Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Keel that bylaw 2025-73 to confirm the proceedings of the regular meeting of council of September the 16th, 2025 be adopted and passed, and furthermore the said bylaw be signed by the acting chair and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation. Thank you. Stroke on acting.
Councillor Purcell, sorry, I feel like I'm in school. I wasn't paying attention. Who's the seconder for it? Okay. Okay, so moved by Councillor Purcell, second by Councillor Keel. That bylaw 2025-73 to confirm the proceedings of the regular meeting of council of September 16th, 2025 be adopted and passed. And further said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation. Those in favor? That is carried. Motion to adjourn. Move by the deputy mayor, second by Councillor Plummer. Those in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you.